So to start with, right, when you get on board, you would have different types of designs, but ultimately there's a mode that would be your traditional type mode. There's a kids mode, and there's an accessibility mode, right? And so if I'm wanting to go into accessibility mode, this is where I first start my journey, right? And instead of having the standard mode UI presented and maybe altered to address some of these accessibility needs, we're saying, no, let's go ahead and allow the passenger to tailor their experience throughout the UI in such a way that it fits not only different levels of maybe impairment or need, but allows them to tailor make the experience to their specific needs opposed to a category of needs. And that's the important part. And so things like language, I'm going to go ahead in here, I'm going to click next, and all of this is 2 of 5 steps, right? I'm going to pause here real quick. The other thing that we learned, because we just really started launching this at AIX this year, we've continued to have development and work in progress on this. One of the things that we learned was that 5 steps may actually be too much, right? It was very well intended, the types of questions that we're asking, but too many questions could be too many for different types of people. And so this is the type of feedback that we're getting with the special interest groups to tailor this.
So you may tailor this a little bit further before
absolutely
prime time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Before prime time, yes. We're getting closer and closer. We have a group dedicated to this. We're very passionate about this part of the product and need in particular. So it'll continue to evolve. Ultimately, there will be a launch prime time, but it will continue to evolve, right? Especially as we get in the field, talked about community development, whether it's us, third parties, airlines, special interest groups in this area that will help us evolve this product. So it's asked me, would I like to enable screen reader? Sure. Go forward. Filter for audio description, right? I'm going to say yes, I want the filter. Color scheme, so visual impairment. This was another area where we initially thought that this was something of high importance. And the more that we learn through special interest groups and people with specific needs giving us feedback of, well, no, based on the layout, a very large text in white and black and good contrast, we actually don't need necessarily a color palette change.
Oh, wow.
That may evolve, right? But that was initial feedback. So it's interesting because when we first started talking about this was something that was important, but as we get further down the road, maybe less and less important. And whether it's the color theme palette being necessary or something that may be missing or that we haven't thought of yet is what we're starting to get from those conversations. So I'm going to go ahead and select one here, right? And then this one's also very neat. If I have a certain impairment that it makes it easier for me to navigate the system through an image-based type interface, I'm going to select that. If I have trouble understanding images for certain reasons and I'm more comfortable with text-based, the UI can be presented in that way. Again, going back to the traditional way where it's one UI that we're just trying to enlarge or address some aspects of accessibility, this is a completely different way to manipulate the interface that makes it most comfortable for the passenger, right? And so you can see I've selected more image-based, so, you know, movie map, movies, and so forth. If I go back here, I'm going to go back in here and just show you again, running through this, I can go to more of a text base, and I'll just show you what that looks like, right? Again, it's all about what's more comfortable for the passenger, right? Ultimately, navigating through the back end is all the content, movies, TV shows, movie map, music, third-party applications are all there, but we want the passenger to be able to tailor-make their experience to the UI.
And you're not, so all content is available to that individual that's coming through.
That's correct.
On that. You're not saying, okay, well, only the movies that are captured. That's all accessible to them, and they can choose.
Exactly.
So that's great too, because then they don't feel like they're kind of funneled into their own. Right. Okay.
Whereas kids mode, there's going to be limited content, right? But in the accessibility mode, it's all about getting them to the content. opposed to the content itself, right?
Right, because not enough has been done on just the navigation
Right.
aspect of
Exactly.
it. Okay.
Exactly. We've done a lot of other meaningful and purposeful things, like the attendant call, for instance, is always going to be in a very prominent location, ease of access, even things like motor skill complication, passengers that have issues, making that either the size of it or location and familiarity of where those main functions are on the display are thought through. So it's not just the UI, it's important features like that. Whether they have somebody traveling with them that is assisting them or not, we're trying to really make this meaningful for a larger audience that maybe isn't being addressed today.
Very good.
Yeah.